You're just like your deadbeat father, my stepmother said at my graduation dinner. So I stood up, thanked her for the reminder, and showed everyone the DNA test results I'd been hiding for 2 years. I'm Jake, 22 years old, male, and I learned a long time ago that families can sound like a house that settled wrong. Every stair creaking, every door a little warped so it scrapes when you try to close it. The night before my graduation dinner, I found the old picture of my mom tucked behind some winter blankets in the hall closet. The glass was spiderwebbed, like someone pressed a thumb into it until the pressure split. That happens a lot in our house. Things crack when no one's looking. Sometimes it's a cup. Sometimes it's me. My dad is Mark, 49 years old, male. He's the kind of person you can hear before you see. Loose change in his pocket, boot scuffs, a sigh like he's apologizing for the weather. He worked nights for most of my childhood and learned my homework by flashlight at the kitchen table while the coffee went cold. Again. When I was 10, he married Kara, 45 years old, female, who smelled like expensive lotion and talked to me like I was a kid she was babysitting for cash. Kara is a performance. Everything's smooth until it snaps. She smiles like a lit match, bright, then gone, leaving scorch. My mom, Linda, 47 years old, female, died when I was 14. A car accident on the rainiest night I've ever seen. Her voice still knocks around in my head sometimes. We make it through. She said it on a million ordinary days. We make it through the busted alternator. We make it through the rent increase. We make it through me crying because I didn't know if I'd ever be less angry than I was, permanently angry, a peeled nerve. We make it through. Kara moved into our lives like a realtor showing a house. This rug goes. That photo is dated. That boy needs rules. She treated my grief like a mess she was hired to clean. She labeled everything I did with vinegar. Lazy. Ungrateful. If I was quiet, I was sulking. If I spoke up, I was dramatic. And when she was really trying to hurt me, she'd look me dead in the eyes and say, "You're just like your deadbeat father." She said it when I forgot to take the trash out. She said it when I got a B and not an A. She said it when I turned 18 and still hadn't manned up, whatever that was. Here's the part people outside the house never understood. She could be charming. Kara would laugh too loudly at cookouts, bring the fancy salad, ask about classes. She called me kiddo in front of other people. She made a show of buying me a winter coat once and then hung the receipt on the fridge with a magnet so I'd remember what she does. That was her currency, witnesses. The worst things she said landed hardest when no one else could hear. She has a son with my dad, Mason, 8 years old, male. Mason is funny in the way I wish I remembered how to be, all crooked grins and dinosaur facts. Kara uses him like a prop, holding his shoulders when she's playing mom, then stepping over him like a spilled backpack when she's not. I learned early that any fight with Kara risked collateral damage, usually Mason's bedtime or my dad's blood pressure. So I swallowed a lot. I collected swallowed things like folded up notes in a shoebox. 2 years ago, I started keeping something else. Not a note. Not even really a secret at first. More like a question with teeth. It lived in my desk drawer under my socks, the edges soft from me taking it out and putting it back, out and back. I'd hold it like a hot coal and think, not yet. Not now. Not while Dad's tired, not while Mason's spelling test is tomorrow, not while Kara's eyes are shiny and wet because nobody appreciates what I do. I'm not proud of how long I let her get away with it. The deadbeat father line felt like a ritual she loved. Light the candle, say the curse, blow it out, watch me twitch. It made me smaller every time. If she could make me my worst story, she didn't have to be my best one. That night before the dinner, standing in the closet with my mom's cracked photo in my hands, I realized I'd been rearranging rooms to fit Kara's script for years. And I was done. I slid the photo into my backpack. Then I slid the envelope in after it, the one I'd been hiding for exactly 730-something days. It felt heavier than paper should. It felt like a door I hadn't let myself open. Yet, graduation day should have felt like sunlight. I was sitting there in the stupid polyester gown, sweating through my shirt, pretending my heart wasn't pounding like I'd stolen something. Dad was proud. He wore that tired smile that looked more like a scar than an expression. Mason was bouncing on his chair, whispering dinosaur facts to me between speeches. And Kara had that smile plastered on, the one that said she was already rehearsing how she'd tell this story later to her friends, making herself the star of it somehow. Dinner afterward was supposed to be a celebration. Dad had reserved a long table at this steakhouse, the kind with booths that are too tight and servers who call everyone boss. My grandparents came, a couple cousins, Mason tugging at his tie. I sat there thinking maybe, just maybe, Kara would let me have this one day. She didn't. Halfway through appetizers, she leaned across the table, wine glass in hand, and said it. Clear, sharp, designed for everyone to hear. You're just like your deadbeat father. It landed like a plate shattering. Forks froze. My cousin coughed into his napkin. Dad blinked once like he'd been punched in slow motion. I felt heat rush to my face, but this time, I didn't swallow it. I stood up. My legs were shaking, but my voice was calm. Thanks for the reminder, Kara. She smirked, like she'd won. That's when I pulled the envelope from my bag. I'd carried it for 2 years, waiting. My fingers didn't even tremble as I slid out the papers. The DNA test. Bold letters, not subtle. I laid it on the table between the bread basket and the sweating pitcher of water. Turns out, I said, looking straight at her, I'm not my dad's son, at least not biologically. You've been calling him a deadbeat for years. But the truth is, he stepped up for a kid who wasn't even his. Chairs scraped. Someone gasped. Might have been my grandma. Dad's hand twitched toward the paper but stopped short, like touching it might burn. Kara's face cracked. Her mouth opened and closed with no sound, like a fish pulled from water. This isn't real, she stammered. Then louder, panicked. This is fake. You made this up to embarrass me. Tested twice, I said. Different labs, same result. He knew too. I glanced at Dad. His jaw was tight, but his eyes. God, his eyes were wet. Kara slammed her wine glass down, so hard red streaked across the white tablecloth. Mason flinched. You little bastard, she hissed. You think you can humiliate me? You think this makes you look strong? She grabbed the glass again and this time threw it. Not at me, at the wall. It shattered, raining shards over an empty booth. People at other tables turned, whispers buzzing. The manager started moving toward us, his face tight. Dad stood then, slow, heavy, and said to her in a voice I'd never heard before, Sit down, now. But Kara wasn't the sit-down type. She shoved her chair back so violently it toppled. She pointed at me, trembling, face blotchy red. You ruined this family? I almost laughed. No, Kara, you did that all by yourself. And then, it happened so fast, she lunged across the table, nails out, trying to grab the papers. I yanked them back, chair screeching as I stumbled. Mason started crying. The restaurant had gone dead silent except for her shouting. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just a secret out in the open. This was war. The restaurant staff swarmed in after Kara lunged. The manager, all polite panic, asked us to take this outside. Dad muttered an apology to the room, one hand on Mason's shoulder, steering him out. People were staring like they'd just witnessed a bar fight instead of a family dinner. Outside, in the humid night air by the parking lot, Kara lost whatever grip she had left. She yanked the DNA papers from my hands in one wild motion. I tried to grab them back, but she ripped the envelope open, scattering pages into the wind like confetti. This means nothing, she screamed. You're lying. He's lying. Everyone's lying. A couple of sheets skidded across the asphalt under the headlights. I bent to grab them, but she stomped her heel on one, hard enough to tear it. Dad shoved himself between us. Kara, enough. And that was when she turned it on him. Oh, don't act noble, Mark. You knew this whole time. You raised him like he was yours, and for what? So he could humiliate me in front of everyone? She jabbed a finger into his chest, her voice rising to a shriek. Mason was sobbing now, hiding behind me. My grandma was pale, clutching my grandpa's arm. My cousins were wide-eyed, phones out, recording. Kara noticed, spun toward them, and swatted at one cousin's phone. It flew, clattered to the pavement, screen spiderwebbing. That snapped something in Dad. He grabbed Kara's wrist mid-swing. "You don't put your hands on family, ever." His voice was so low it vibrated. She wrenched free and slapped him. Full force. The sound cracked through the parking lot. People gasped. I froze, stunned, until I saw the look on Dad's face. This mix of heartbreak and something close to relief, like a dam breaking. He didn't hit her back. He didn't yell. He just said, "We're done here." Then he turned, opened the car door for Mason, and told me, "Come on, son." Kara wasn't finished. She chased after us, heels clacking like gunshots on pavement, screaming, "Don't you dare walk away from me!" When Dad slid into the driver's seat, she pounded on the hood with both fists. The sound was animal, feral. "Mark," she shrieked, "if you leave, I'll ruin you, both of you. Everyone will know what you are." Her face under the streetlights looked warped, like rage itself had melted her mask. Security from the restaurant finally rushed over, trying to pull her back. She fought them, kicking, screaming. We drove off with Mason still crying in the back seat. I looked out the rear window and saw Kara thrashing in two men's arms, still yelling my name like a curse. That night at home, it didn't stop. She called Dad's phone over and over, 20, 30 times. Left voicemails, half sobbing apologies, half threats. By midnight, she was outside, pounding on the door. When Dad didn't open it, she started hurling things from the porch. Flower pots, a ceramic frog Mason painted, even the framed photo from their wedding she must have grabbed from her car. It shattered on the front step, glass catching the porch light. I remember Mason whispering, terrified, "Is she going to break the house too?" That was the moment I realized Kara wasn't just unstable. She was dangerous. And if we didn't get ahead of her, she'd burn everything down around us. By the next morning, Kara had already started her counterattack. She posted a long, shaky selfie video on Facebook with red eyes and trembling lips. "My stepson ruined my graduation celebration last night," she sniffled. "He fabricated some disgusting lie about his parentage to embarrass me in public. I don't know how someone could be so cruel." She turned the camera, showed a scratch on her arm from when security pulled her back, and let the silence imply I'd done it. The comments came fast. Her friends rallied. "You poor thing, how could he? Kids these days have no respect." One even wrote, "If he were my son, I'd throw him out too." She replied with a heart emoji. But then my cousin uploaded the parking lot video. Kara screaming, clawing at me, slapping Dad, smashing the phone. It spread through the family group text like wildfire. Her victim performance collapsed instantly. She started messaging relatives individually, insisting the video was taken out of context. No one bought it. That afternoon, she escalated again, this time at Mason's school. She showed up during pickup, dragging Mason by the wrist, loudly ranting to the teacher about living in a house of liars. I wasn't even there, but my phone blew up with texts from classmates' parents. "Is Mason okay? Do you know Kara just screamed at the staff?" Dad had to leave work early to calm things down. That night, she stormed back to our house. Not just screaming this time, she had scissors. She slashed two of Dad's truck tires in the driveway. The hiss of air spilling into the night was louder than her screaming. She didn't run. She just stood there, daring us to call the cops. Dad did. For the first time in my life, I saw him pick up the phone, dial 911, and say the words, "My wife is out of control. She's destroying my property. I need help." His voice cracked on wife. The cops showed up. Blue and red lights painted the whole block. Mason pressed his face to the upstairs window, silent, watching his mother get handcuffed. Kara thrashed, screaming that Dad had brainwashed me, that the DNA test was forged, that she was the real victim. The neighbors stood on their porches whispering. It was all on display. They didn't arrest her that night, just issued a citation and told Dad to file for a restraining order if it continued. But everyone knew it was only a matter of time before she snapped harder. Later, inside, Dad sat at the kitchen table with his head in his hands. Mason curled up on the couch, too tired to cry anymore. I pulled the cracked photo of Mom out of my backpack and set it on the table in front of him. She would have been proud you called the cops, I said. Dad didn't answer right away. He just stared at the photo, then at me. Finally, he said, Jake, we can't keep living like this. She's going to come back. And next time, she's not going to stop at tires. That was when I knew we weren't just reacting anymore. We needed to strike back, on our terms. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Wow, I didn't expect so many people to read my story, let alone blow it up like this. I posted half thinking it would get buried under "my roommate ate my leftovers" type posts. But here we are. I stayed up all night scrolling through comments, and honestly, I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or start carrying pepper spray. First off, to everyone who DM'd me saying Kara sounds like a lifetime villain in training. Yeah, you're not wrong. She went from snide little digs to full-on destruction in, like, 24 hours. I used to think she thrived on control. Now I realize she thrives on chaos. Some of y'all were savage, though. My favorite comment was, she didn't just show her ass at graduation dinner, she live-streamed the whole cheeks. Accurate. Another person said, bro, you've been living with a live-action Disney villain, except without the catchy song. That one made me laugh way too hard at 3 a.m., but the serious ones hit too. A lot of you said the same thing, protect Mason. And yeah, that's the part I can't stop thinking about. He's 8. He watched his mom throw a wine glass, slap his dad, get dragged off by cops, and scream like a banshee in the street. He told me yesterday he wished dinosaurs were real so he could make mommy stop yelling. That broke something in me. As for Dad, he's a mess. He told me he feels stupid for keeping the secret all these years. That's another thing I need to clear up because a bunch of comments were asking, yes, Dad always knew. He found out when I was still a baby, but he decided to raise me anyway. He never told me because he didn't want me to feel less than. He didn't expect Kara to use the deadbeat line like a weapon for years, and he definitely didn't expect me to find the old paperwork and get the test myself. So yeah, I blindsided him a little. But seeing Kara's mask rip off at that dinner? Worth it. Since the cops came, Kara's been quiet. Too quiet. No late-night screaming, no porch meltdowns. Which scares me more than the chaos, honestly. Because Kara's the type who, when cornered, comes back with something worse. And here's the part that'll probably make half of Reddit cheer. I'm done waiting. For years, I let her write the script. I swallowed insults, rearranged my life around her moods, let her treat me like an intruder in my own house. No more. I've got a plan now, something that'll flip the script so hard she won't know which way is up. I'm not going to say what it is yet because, God forbid she finds this post, but let's just say it's going to hit her where it hurts. Her image. She's always cared more about appearances than people. Time to make that her downfall. Next time I post, I'll either be dead or laughing. Maybe both. The quiet didn't last long. 3 days after the cops left, Kara went nuclear again. It started with mail. A letter addressed to me, stamped with the school district's logo. Inside, a typed complaint saying I was a disruptive presence at Mason's school pickup line, that I'd been aggressive with staff. My stomach dropped, but then I noticed the typos. The letterhead wasn't even the right color. She'd faked it. Dad confronted her. She just smirked. Who do you think they'll believe, Mark? A respected mother or a bitter dropout? That same night, she went after my car. Not the tires this time, the paint. Deep, jagged scratches all across the driver's side. Words carved in like a brand. Liar. I wanted to call the cops again. Dad said to wait. If we keep calling, it'll just look like drama. That made my blood boil. Mason cried when he saw the car, whispering, "Mommy's scary." I crouched down, looked him in the eyes, and promised, "I'll fix this, I swear." That was the moment I stopped reacting. I dug out the cracked photo of my mom again. On the back, in faded blue pen, she'd written, "We make it through." That became my anchor. And I knew exactly how to make us through this. See, Kara's whole world is built on performance. PTA mom, social butterfly, polished, put together. She lives for Facebook posts where she's dolled up with Mason in matching outfits, pretending to be Mother of the Year. It's her armor, her stage. Strip that away, and she's nothing. So I started collecting. Every voicemail she left, screaming threats. Every video clip from my cousins of her meltdown in the parking lot. Screenshots of her fake school letter. Photos of the slashed tires, the carved paint, even the broken wedding frame she threw at our door. I made a digital folder and backed it up twice. Then I created a burner account. And I reached out to the one group she worshipped most. Her mom friends. The wine night crew, the church moms, the ones who liked every filtered selfie she posted. I dropped the first video, her slapping Dad in the parking lot. Caption: "This is the real Kara." It spread like wildfire. By the next morning, 2 of her closest friends had unfriended her. By noon, one of the PTA organizers emailed Dad, asking if Kara was okay to continue volunteering. By evening, she was outside again, pounding on the door, shrieking, "You ruined my life, you'll pay for this." This time, I opened the door. Just a crack. I held up my phone, recording her wild-eyed, hair a mess, screaming into the night. "Smile, Kara," I said softly. "You're live." Her face changed in an instant, fear flickering across rage. She bolted to her car and sped off. For the first time in years, I felt taller, stronger. Like I wasn't just surviving her anymore. I was dismantling her, piece by piece. And I wasn't done. If I thought Kara was done after I leaked those videos, I was stupid. She didn't retreat. She doubled down. The first hit came fast. Dad's boss called him into the office. Someone had sent anonymous emails accusing him of theft at work, attaching blurry photos of him carrying equipment into his truck. Dad knew exactly who it was. He explained, HR shrugged, but the damage was there. Whispering coworkers. Suspicion. Then Mason's school called. Kara had marched in demanding full custody, ranting about me being a dangerous influence. She tried to show them the fake letter she'd made, as if it were real evidence. The principal told her to leave the premises or they'd call the police. She stormed out, screaming that everyone's conspiring. The real explosion came 2 nights later. I was in my room when I heard glass shatter downstairs. I bolted out. Kara had hurled a rock straight through the living room window. Shards were everywhere. Mason screamed from upstairs. She was outside, barefoot, mascara streaked, waving her phone like a weapon. "Take it all down," she screamed. "Delete those videos. You think you can ruin me? I'll burn this whole house down." Neighbors were outside now, phones up, recording. Kara saw them, and instead of backing off, she climbed onto the hood of Dad's truck, stomping like a child throwing a tantrum. The metal dented under her heels. She shrieked, "Look at me! Look what they've done to me!" Dad called 911 again. While we waited, I walked outside, calm this time. My phone was already recording. "Keep going, Kara," I said. "Every second of this is going online." She froze, chest heaving, eyes darting between me and the neighbors filming. For a moment, I thought she'd leap at me. Instead, she jumped down, grabbed the rock she'd thrown earlier, and hurled it at the mailbox. Metal split, letters spilling out like guts. The cops rolled up then. Sirens, lights. This time, they didn't just lecture her. They cuffed her. She screamed the entire way into the cruiser, accusing me of being a psychopath, accusing Dad of being a traitor, and swearing Mason would hate us both when he learns the truth. When the car finally pulled away, Dad slumped against the porch rail. Mason clung to me, whispering, "Don't let her come back." But here's the thing. I knew she would come back. Because people like Kara don't stop when you corner them. They self-destruct in public. And now, the whole neighborhood had seen it. That night, while Dad patched the broken window, I sat in my room planning the final move. The videos had cracked her mask. Her outbursts were making her radioactive in every social circle she cared about. But I wanted more than embarrassment. I wanted her permanently unmasked. The kind of truth you can't scream over, can't fake away. And I had exactly the way to do it. Update 2. So, things escalated. If my last post made it sound like Kara was unraveling, this week she fully detonated. She smashed our living room window with a rock, climbed on Dad's truck in the middle of the street, screamed like a banshee while half the neighborhood filmed her on their phones. Then she got hauled off in cuffs while yelling that I'm a psychopath and Dad's a traitor. I thought seeing her arrested would feel satisfying. It didn't. It felt like watching a building collapse with people still inside. Mason was upstairs sobbing while glass rained across the living room. Dad looked older than I've ever seen him. I felt hollow. And then I opened Reddit. Holy hell, y'all don't hold back. I scrolled for hours. Some of you said Kara's been running on pure narcissism for years, and the only reason it looks shocking now is because I finally turned the lights on. Someone else commented, she's not unraveling, she's being revealed. That line has been stuck in my head ever since. But what really got me were the messages about Mason. Dozens of you saying the same thing. He needs protection more than revenge. And you're right. I've been thinking about revenge like it's the finish line, but for Mason, this is just the start. He still has to live in the wreckage. So here's where we're at. Kara's got a court date for property damage and disorderly conduct. Dad's finally talking to a lawyer. Mason's sleeping in my room most nights because he says it feels safer. And me? I'm tired of playing defense. I said in my last update that I had a plan. I wasn't lying. I've been collecting everything. Every voicemail, every fake letter, every video of her screaming. People asked if I was just going to keep leaking clips one by one. No, that was just the appetizer. The main course is coming. I can't give details yet, because if she catches even a hint of it, she'll spin herself into the victim again. But just know, it's not about embarrassing her anymore. It's about making sure she can't crawl back into this house, into Mason's life, into Dad's head. It's about cutting the cord for good. Somebody left a comment that really stuck with me. Poetic revenge is when the thing they used to hurt you becomes the blade that takes them down. Kara always used her image as her weapon. Smiling PTA mom, selfless stepmother, community sweetheart. That was her mask. That's what she beat us with every time she wanted control. So guess what I'm about to shatter? 2 weeks later was the PTA fundraiser. Kara wasn't supposed to be there. Technically, she was suspended from volunteer duties, but that didn't stop her. She showed up anyway, hair blown out, dress pristine, dragging Mason by the hand like a show dog. Cameras flashing, kids running around, raffle tickets flying. She strutted in like nothing had happened. Dad stiffened when we saw her. Jake, maybe we should just leave. No, I said. This is it. Because I'd been waiting for this moment. I'd spent nights stitching together everything. The dinner meltdown, the parking lot slap, her slashing tires, smashing windows, screaming threats. Every clip, every voicemail synced into one brutal highlight reel. 15 minutes of unfiltered Kara, the mask ripped off. And I had the projector. When the fundraiser reached its peak, raffle drawing, everyone packed in, I slipped into the booth where the slideshow was running. A volunteer was about to play the sponsor video. Instead, my file queued up. It started with her wine glass exploding at graduation dinner. Gasps rippled. Then her voice screaming, "You little bastard," across the parking lot. Then the slap. Dad's head jerking sideways. Cut to her shrieking outside our house, mascara streaking down her face. Then the rock shattering our window. The neighbor's footage of her stomping on Dad's truck. Every piece of her unhinged spiral in high definition. The room went silent. Parents stared, mouths open. Kids whispered. Mason buried his face in my side. Kara lunged for the booth, screaming, "Turn it off! That's fake! He edited it!" But the damage was done. The last clip rolled. Her screaming at Dad's truck, "I'll burn this whole house down." The audio echoed through the gymnasium. When the lights came back on, no one clapped. No one spoke. Dozens of phones were already up, recording. Not me, but her, flailing at the projector, shrieking, "This is all lies! He's trying to ruin me!" The principal stepped forward, stone-faced. "Kara, you need to leave, now." She refused. She dropped to her knees, clawing at the screen, wailing. 2 dads stepped in to escort her out while she kicked, screaming my name like it was poison. And this time, No cops had to be called, because everyone had already seen enough. By the next morning, the video was everywhere. Parents sent it around. Neighbors shared it. Kara's mom group booted her. The PTA officially banned her. Her Facebook page went dark after a flood of angry comments. Dad sat at the kitchen table, exhausted. But when he looked at me, there was pride under the fatigue. "You did it," he said. I shook my head. "No, Dad, she did it. I just held up the mirror." Mason curled up next to me on the couch, whispering, "She can't come back now, right?" I hugged him tighter. "Not this time, buddy. Not ever again." Because Kara had finally been exposed, not just to us, but to everyone she'd ever tried to fool. And there was no mask left to hide behind. Kara's collapse wasn't dramatic after that. It was slow, ugly, and public. The PTA fundraiser video kept spreading. By the end of the week, it had hit Facebook community groups, then TikTok. Clips of her screaming, "I'll burn this whole house down," were stitched into memes. Neighbors crossed the street to avoid her. Parents whispered at the grocery store. She wasn't the polished PTA mom anymore. She was the town lunatic. Dad's lawyer moved fast. With the police reports, the property damage citations, and the video montage, it was airtight. He filed for separation, emergency custody, and a restraining order. Kara didn't even bother showing up to the first court date. She claimed it was beneath her. The judge signed everything. Dad had full custody of Mason. Kara was barred from the house, from the school, from anywhere near us. The day the papers came through, Dad sat on the porch steps with me. He didn't look triumphant. He looked broken, but lighter. "I wasted too many years," he said quietly. "Your mom deserved better. You deserved better." I told him the truth. "You weren't perfect, Dad. But you stayed. That makes you more than she'll ever be." His eyes went glassy. He pulled me into the kind of hug he hadn't given me since I was 12. Mason's world shifted overnight. No more screaming matches, no more glass breaking at 2 a.m. He started sleeping through the night again. He laughed more, real belly laughs, not the nervous giggles he used to use to fill silence. At school, his teacher emailed Dad saying he'd started raising his hand in class again. She wrote, "He seems safe now." As for Kara, her mask was gone. Last I heard, she moved in with a friend 2 towns over. She tried starting a GoFundMe claiming she was a victim of abuse and defamation, but the comment section ripped her apart. Nobody bought it anymore. She burned every bridge she had. One night, I found Mason in the hallway holding the cracked photo of my mom. He asked me, "Do you think Grandma knew we'd make it through?" I crouched down, hugged him, and said, "Yeah, kiddo, she knew." Later, when I was alone, I slid the photo back into my desk drawer. Right beside the DNA test papers, the ones that started all this. For years, I'd thought they were a curse. Proof that I didn't belong. Now I realized they were something else. Proof of choice. Dad chose me. I chose to fight back. And together, we chose to finally end Kara's grip on us. She always used to say I was just like my deadbeat father. She was right about one thing. I am like him. Except not the way she meant. I'm stubborn, I endure, I protect the people I love. And unlike her, I don't need a mask to prove it.